teach the special needs students. They like activities that have quite a large visual element and differentiated reading for them to do. They quite like things on the smartboard that involve matching to reinforce vocabulary and keywords. And they also like things where they have to do sequencing because it gives them time to organise their ideas. And it's got challenge in it, but then they always feel confident that they're going to be able to do it.
I feel the students are mostly engaged because I do music, definitely in the practical side, so when they're playing in ensembles, I think that's when they're really engaged because they're obviously working with their peers, they're doing something they enjoy, so if they're playing songs which they like.
It's being used quite well. We've obviously, as you can see, got all the computers inside here, which we let the students do a lot of research on. What's really good is rather than booking an IT room and feel the need to spend the whole lesson in an IT room doing something, we can literally be learning about something and I'll say, go away and find out about this, and literally 5 minutes later they're back in their seats and they've used it for just a little bit.
And we use PowerPoints and interactive activities which we usually get off from online. Just to sort of break beyond the sort of traditional, as it were, writing and copying things off the board. And it gets them fully partaking in the lesson because if we use like a starter or a plenary activity that is internet based or we can use the smartboard for, they can actually come up and physically take part in that activity. So that's how we mainly use technology in lessons. Okay. And the laptops we've got, we're lucky on that respect, we've got 15 laptops each.
I make quite a lot of use of PowerPoints, and I expect the children to be able, I adapt what's in the PowerPoint for the students' work, but I want them to be able to use the information from the PowerPoint. Obviously I use it for film clips, things like that, and also for smartboard activities.
We also use video cameras. We've now invested in webcams so students can record little clips which they can obviously present to each other. We've got software packages from Key Stage 3 right to Key Stage 5. I think for science it lends itself particularly well from the modelling aspect. Things like the structure of the atom or how chemicals react. To try and explain abstract concepts is very difficult, and that's where I think using ICT in particular in science has been really good.
Well, we use technology to record the students' work so that basically they can listen back to their work and see how it can be improved. So if they're working on a song, they record part of their song, and then they can listen to it and think, oh, I can add that part. And it gives them the opportunity to add parts to it and see what it sounds like. So they can play like a rhythm guitar part and then add the solo over the top, and then they can see how it sounds all together.
We also have visualizers, which you can see over here. We've got a few of those in the department. At first when we bought them, it was more of a way of trying to show content in a way of, I don't know, we thought we could do demonstrations and stuff underneath, which we do. But what's become really useful as an assessment for learning tool is when the student's done a little bit of work, we flash it underneath the visualizer, everybody can see it, and they all sort of comment on each other's work.
Okay, I teach pt2 public service, and all of the submissions for all of the work come in via Fronter. So every piece of work that the student processes is submitted through Fronter, marked through Fronter, and fed back to them through Fronter. So it's the only vehicle they can to submit their work.
Yeah, because say for example, if it was a plenary activity and they've been learning a certain objective throughout the lesson, and we've got a plenary activity that involves technology that is related to the lesson, they'd all have to be sort of quite up together to make sure they do well in it.
You can really bring lessons to life by bringing those sort of weird and wonderful things in, and I think the ability to be able to have it at the push of a button rather than have to plan all big elaborate resources all the time definitely keeps the students engaged. Whereas when you're using technology or you've got a really good animation, you get the students more asking questions that come naturally to them rather than ones that are kind of scripted by a text or a dialogue. So engagement definitely, particularly when the students are involved in the animations or involved in the delivery of the technology as well. That hasn't just improved the quality of their work, but it's improved things like the presentation, their work ethic, because they literally realise that everything they produce is almost in the public domain of the class. So it's had a massive impact, and I think for a subject like science, it's fantastic.
They use like PowerPoints, but they also like include links in that, like from YouTube, and like demonstrations of what we're doing.
Does that help?
Yeah.
Yeah. How does that help you?
You get a clearer understanding of what they're talking about. And like if you're just looking at a PowerPoint, it can become boring, because if it was just writing, I would just lose concentration. Projection, which we've like recorded site-specific pieces and like projected them and worked with that. We've also used dance forms.
What's dance forms?
A software where you can create like motifs or movements and piece them together.
How did that help you?
You do explore new movements, so it gives you a wider movement vocabulary, which like, will help you in other lessons when choreographing dances.
I think that it's a very positive piece of software, and I just enjoy it because it creates new movements.
We have used like media as well, so we used our site-specific pieces and cut them and edit them to make it as one whole film piece of PC. Yeah, we do record ourselves so we can watch our performances back, which is really helpful because you can see your weaknesses and your strengths, which helps you generally in your performance because you can improve in that. We've also looked at professional works through technology. So by watching them you can get more movement vocabulary and have a wider understanding of dance, like different styles. We made up our own blog, which we was able to put feedback on, like peers, choreography, and like obviously that was useful. But we also like could put our research is on there, which helped others to like learn.